Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and with the AFL finals, just about a day away now as I'm recording this, probably hours away by the time that this video comes out. I might as well preview, of course, the first week of the finals, and of course, give you my who I tip to win this week, and of course what my bold prediction is going to be for each game. So let's get right into it. So as I'm recording this tomorrow night, but if it depends on if it's uploaded, but it might, when it's uploaded, might be tonight. You never know. Will be the second elimination final between Brisbane and Richmond. Of course, both of them. Of course, Brisbane finished 6th and Richmond finished 7th. The last time these two teams played off, it was at the MCG. When Richmond, when Brisbane came from 34 points down at one stage. I think it was in the first quarter, to come back and win the game, by 7 points. But this game's not at the MCG, of course. This game's at the is going to be a 7:20 game up at the Gabba. Of course, these two teams have played each other twice already in finals, 2019 and 2019 and 2020, in the qualifying final. One each, of course. Richmond won 2019, and then Brisbane won in 2020. And this one, obviously, it's a sudden death. So the winner survives for another week. The loser, of course, goes out. Yeah. And as of today, they did announce the squads. The big news from Richmond was Dusty Martin is in officially for Richmond. We all probably thought that hamstring injury would keep him out for the rest of the year, but since Richmond are playing finals, he's in. Unfortunately, Shane Edwards, it was omitted, and Jason Castagna is out. In terms of Brisbane, of course, Cam Rayner. Three big outs for Brisbane, with Cam Rayner out due to that 1 week suspension. Jared Lyons out through injury, and Noah Ainsworth is also out due to suspension. So into the side to replace them is Devon Robertson, and Darcy Wilmot is going to play his first game ironically in a final, and it's probably going to be a huge baptism of fire for the young fella. It's going to be big, making a debut in a final. So yeah. In terms of form, of course, Brisbane's form. Richmond's form has been probably better than Brisbane's. I think some would to guess if Cumberland had not played on after the siren against Fremantle, I would assume they would have won. And if their luck had gone better against North Melbourne and Gold Coast, they would have entered. And also I think against Richmond as well. Those were probably 8 games. They'll probably lead into the finals that they would coming to the finals with 8 wins, probably on the trot, really, to be honest. Brisbane, their form has not really been that great, and obviously it hit home, obviously, in the last round of the season, getting thumped by Melbourne on their home turf, mind you. So it's a bit questionable, really, that their claims for their premiership credentials. In terms of the statistics, both ironically, Richmond are number 1 in terms of points scored. Brisbane are number 2. So we could be in for a high scoring game here, folks. We could be in for that. And of course, and they're not really the best team, both of them, in terms of defensive and of course with pressure and all that. So yeah, of course, with points against, they're Richmond 10th and Brisbane 9th. Pressure, Brisbane's in 9th position, but unfortunately, Richmond's 15th in the league for pressure. And in terms of contested possession differential, Brisbane is 5th on that list, and Richmond are in 12th. So Brisbane's so the game style normally that Brisbane is on hard contested play, by the looks of things, and then while Richmond's is more focused on ball movement, because they are third in ball movement. But the main thing that pops out to me in terms of the statistics is defending the ball movement. Brisbane is third, while Brisbane are in 12th in that area. So that could probably where Brisbane's midfielders and forwards, with the likes of Danaher, Cameron, and Hipwood, and probably McStay, can expose Richmond a little bit. Because Richmond, of course, they're not that good at defending ball movement. So yeah, and obviously Brisbane's strength is obviously around the clearances also. So yeah. Some other statistics also to mention, some fun facts also. Brisbane have averaged 6 in the last month, have averaged 6 clearances per game. But there's the downside for Brisbane fans. You probably won't want to hear this. Since round 15, Brisbane have conceded an average of 89 points per game, 15th in the AFL in that area. So they have been leaking points as of late, has Brisbane, and that's probably something that Richmond could. Their Richmond attackers, of course, with Revolt, Lynch in terrific form, Martin back in, Bolton, of course, as well, and loads of others, even Rioli's as well, in Morris Jr. and Dan Rioli, could possibly stretch them a little bit. So yeah, but back on the happy times for Brisbane fans, Eric Hipwood has scored 4 goals in each of his last 2 games against Richmond. So he's got a bit of a liking to Richmond as of late, as Eric Hipwood. Now for Richmond statistics, obviously, in the last 4 weeks, the Tigers have scored 70 points alone from intercepting the ball, which that puts the number 2 in the AFL in that area. And also, but also on the bad side of things for the Tigers, is that they have conceded 14 points alone from centre bounce. I think they mean centre bounce clearances, or centre bounces, which is the second worst in the AFL. So that is a bit of a weakness in that area for the Tigers. So yeah, so my tip, I think Richmond will end Brisbane's season. And I don't think it's going to be that much of a thumping like it was against Brisbane did, against Melbourne. But I still think it'll be close. But then Richmond with of course with Dusty coming back, and then of course Revolt, Lynch, so on and so forth, will take charge and basically overpower the Lions in a big way. And also the outs, with Rayner out, who's been in terrific form for the Lions. Jared Lyons, obviously, he's been a bit quiet this season, but he still can have a big impact. Also, Noah Ainsworth, a solid player for them. So that's 3 solid to good players that Brisbane have got out of their side. And I think it'll be lucky if they do win this one and Rayner comes back. That will be a bit lucky for them, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Richmond are in too good a form, and they'll go over the top of them surprisingly by 46 points. And gee, I'll be over the moon if I get that one right. Exactly. The bold prediction, and this is about Dustin Martin. I predict him to get 20 plus touches and kick 3 plus goals in this game. That's what I think. So yeah, that is my bold prediction for the elimination for the second elimination final on Thursday night. Now to the match on Friday night, and this is the second qualifying final, which is reigning premiers Melbourne against the Sydney Swans. Of course, this game is going to be played on a Friday night at the MCG. There's a feeling it's going to be a bit of a crowd there. The last time these two teams met, obviously, Melbourne, I think, were fresh off of that initial shock loss in their first loss of the year against Fremantle, but they didn't rebound, obviously, with that. With that win, I think that was the game where Papley sealed the game for them. To give them an unassailable lead, to give the Swans an unassailable lead. Just to clarify, the only sides at the moment, the only game at the moment that has its squads, its starting as team lineups been announced was the Brisbane Richmond game. The others are just, up in the air at this point. So, all I did was basically look at the mock teams that are on AFL.com.au, and just copy them instead. So I'd assume that that Christian Salem will come in to the side. I would assume in place of Jake Bowie. And of course, no changes, I would assume, for the Sydney Swans. Obviously, they're in terrific form as well. Of course, second v third. Both of them on 16 wins. and also close as well on percentage as well. So it's clear that Sydney, I think Sydney, are the ones to challenge Geelong. Now, I'll talk about Geelong in a bit when we get to their game against Collingwood in a bit. But look at them in there. I mean, they're fourth for points fourth for points against, first for pressure, with their pressure points first in that area. Contested possession difference 6, clearances 7th, post clearance contest in 4th. They're first in they're the best in the league in terms of ball movement, and they're second in terms of defending that ball movement. So I think they're all around the best alongside Geelong. But Melbourne aren't bad either. They proved. Excuse me, with the yawn. Of course, it's 10:10 at night on a Wednesday night here, so don't mind me if I yawn. They proved against Brisbane that they're here to make a serious impact in the finals again, like they did last year. Of course, Melbourne are the best defensive team in the league. They've conceded the least amount of points this season. Clearances they're third, but not surprisingly in post clearance contest, they're the best in the league in that. Not surprisingly, when you got the likes of Viney, Petrarca, Oliver, and then also you got Gawn that could do those sort of things, and also Jackson as well. So I think it's going to be a close game, I believe, on Friday night. Now into the stats for this game. There is a tale of, let's say, of two different teams. The D's are currently now the best first quarter team in the league. They've won the first quarter in their games 17 times out of the 22 games. But on the other hand, Sydney are the best last quarter team in the league, alongside, as I said, Geelong, not surprisingly, as well, 17 times that they've won the last quarter. So it's a tale of two halves here. The best team of getting off to a good start, and the best team that finishes games off well. So that would be a bit exciting about what that entices. Excuse me. The Demons are averaging 41 points from from clearances in the last four rounds, which is number 3 in the competition. While the Sydney Swans, they are the second best tackle efficiency, have the second best tackle efficiency in the league with 67.3%. So they are good on it. They do stick their tackles. Do the Swans players. Barring unlike a few teams, Essendon. So yeah. So yeah. So now onto my tip for that game and my bold prediction. I think Melbourne will win this one by 6 points. I think it's going to be a tight one. It has been, the last couple of games. This one, excuse me again, would be no exception. And my bold prediction, well, I don't think it's, well, some people might say it's not bold, but I think Cozzy Pickett will kick the winning goal. I think he did it against Carlton 3 weeks ago. Why not do it to Sydney in the first week of the finals to get his club into the preliminary final again? So yeah, why not? So let's move on to the two Saturday games, which is the first one is the Saturday Twilight game, which is the qualifying final between the minor premiers Geelong and the big improvers of 2022 in Collingwood. So the last time these two teams met, which was all the way early in the season, in round 3, this was when Geelong weren't as good as they are now, and then Collingwood, they were coming off of back-to-back wins to start the season. I think Collingwood at one stage opened up about a 5-goal lead or so at 3/4 time. Then Geelong stormed home and overpowered them to win by 13 points in what was a high-scoring game at the G. So for the ins and outs, I'd assume for Geelong that the three in Jeremy Cameron, Reece Stanley and Mitch Duncan, I would assume, will come in to the side in replacement for Asaba Radaglia, Jonathan Segler, Graham Myers, and of course Jake Kolajasny. I would assume maybe Jake Kolajasny might be the medical sub. Maybe, I don't know. While a big in for Collingwood is Taylor Adams possibly coming in. That would benefit Collingwood because I think they need all the help they can get, to be honest. But yeah. So judging by Geelong, I think these two, this is going to be an exciting game because it's in a match probably these fans have probably all been waiting for, because Collingwood have been of course the solitary losses against Sydney, but they just come off of this incredible run of 11 in a row. And then of course they just broke Carlton's hearts a couple of weeks ago with that 1-point win. And then Geelong, they're probably the Premiership favourites. Because probably down to of course that not only the minor premiers, but they're coming off of 11, 12 wins in a row, and probably, and if you think about it, the only close one I would assume was the Richmond game, and that's it. The others haven't been wasn't even close. So yeah, and they're all, and the only weakness for me in terms of Geelong is that they're 13th in terms of pressure, while Collingwood is ranked 2nd in that area. So that could be where Collingwood could expose Geelong's defence, possibly with the pressure going inside 50. That could probably be the difference. Because with the likes of Ginnivan, Elliott, and all that, and all the small forwards going there, and also the other midfielders like like DeGoey and of course Josh Dacos as well. So yeah, so yeah, and and also where I think Collingwood can frustrate Geelong is defending it, because Geelong are equal at the top for their ball movement, in the ball movement stakes. But in terms of defending the ball movement, Collingwood's at the top in that area. So that could so it's a case of the best ball movement team versus the team at best at defending the ball movement. So that could, if it all goes wrong, for Geelong, then that's where Collingwood can probably frustrate them a bit with in terms of basically stopping the ball movement, and basically and basically with them. But the problem is for Geelong, for Collingwood, is that they're ranked 12th in ball movement themselves. So their ball movement, judging by their ranking, is not that great. So yeah. So two other statistics. Let's run through the Collingwood ones first, because they're the obvious ones. The most obvious ones. The Pies have won 9 games by a single digit margin, which is just absolute craziness. And even more crazy is that they've won 11 games by 2 goals or less. So they are good at keeping their fans nervous. So yeah. And then on to Geelong. Now, if you're a Geelong fan watching this, please just cover your ears, because these stats you would not like. Since the 2011 flag, Geelong has only won 7 out of the 22 finals since. I think a couple of qualifying finals. A few semi-finals and even the prelim. I think one prelim in 2020 against Brisbane. So yeah, and also this week they're willing to break a 6-year drought. That is, since 2016, that famous game where Isaac Smith missed for Hawthorn, had the chance to win the game for Hawthorn, but missed it, and that's when Geelong players went into raptures. Since then, they haven't won in the first week of the finals. Here's the chance with Geelong now, being minor premiers. This chance for Geelong to break that drought and automatically be one step closer to making the grand final. So yeah, to my tip for this one, as a person that hates Collingwood, I just hate saying this. I think Collingwood will win in yet another tight one. Like it always says, there's normal things happen in life. There's bills to pay, and all that, and then you got Collingwood Collingwood winning by tight margins, and I think this will be the same here. It is known in the past from when the minor premiers often lose in the first week in a massive upset. I remember Port Adelaide twice in 02 and 03. Be beaten in the first week of the finals, obviously in 02 against Collingwood and 03 against Sydney. So there is a history of minor premiers often losing in the first week. And I think it might be the same here. My bold prediction, this is mighty bold. go more in depth with this one here, and that is this. Geelong have a chance to win the game after the siren, but the shot it misses. So yeah. So it'll be so in my prediction, I'd assume. I don't know what player it would be. It could be any player, to be honest. I'm not going to say any player. It's going to be it might be anybody. It'd be 5-point margin. Someone as a shot for goal after the siren, they miss, and Collingwood wins by 4 points. So yeah. Or there could be the possibility of the other way around, and again, Collingwood beat Geelong after the siren. That is the possibility of that happening. So yeah. Finally, on to the final game of week 1, which is the elimination final over in the West between Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs. Bulldogs. This game is at 6:10. I'd assume 6:10 p.m., which is, I would assume that's Eastern Standard Time. I would assume. I would assume so, or that might be, or that possibly might be, that possibly might be, West Australian time, you never know. The last time that these two teams met, it was actually, most recent actually, was when Fremantle got over the top of the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium, which nearly knocked the Dogs, just about knocked the Dogs out of the finals race. That was before Carlton's mighty collapse, which I'm still laughing about. So, yeah. Fremantle finished in 5th, obviously, and the Dogs in 8th, displacing Carlton. To the ins and outs, of course, the big out for Fremantle was the fact that Nat Fyfe was out of the side, and I'd assume that maybe he might get replaced by Darcy Tucker, but he might get replaced by somebody else. And then the other big ins for Freo, Rory Lobb comes in. For this might possibly, if Fremantle lose, could possibly be his final game because of him being heavily linked to a move to the Western Bulldogs. And it might be also be Griffin Logue's also his final game with the Dockers as well, because he's also been heavily linked to many clubs in Victoria. So and it also might be Darcy Tucker as well. His last game, he's been heavily linked to Essendon as well. So there's the three possible ins for Fremantle are ones who possibly could be playing their last game, as well. Of course, going out of the side, obviously Fyfe, because of his injury, hamstring injury. Apparently, from what I've heard, it's not the same side that he hurt about a month ago. I think the one that he injured in round, was it 17 or 18, was his right hamstring. But this one, I think he's hurt his left hamstring. I think someone please comment down below, please, for correction on that, because I can't be bothered looking it up because it's bloody freaking almost 10:30 at night, and I want to get through this video done, so I'm gonna get through this quickly. So the ins and outs for the Bulldogs, I would assume that the big news was that Tom Liberatore is going to be out due to injury, and of course I would assume he will be replaced by Jason Johannesson. I would assume that he is there. So sort of form for each team. Obviously, Fremantle, three wins, one win, one draw. That one draw, of course, was against Richmond. That game they probably did deserve to lose, but luckily Cumberland decided to run over the mark after the sirens. So after he marked it. So yeah. If that had happened, then I would assume that both of these teams would be in exact same form with 3 and 2 from their last 5 games. The problem would be for Fremantle is they're not a high scoring team, but they are known for their defense. Because they're second for points against behind Melbourne. They're ranked 5th for pressure, and in terms of defending ball movement, they're ranked 2nd as well. So they are known for being a defensive team, but in terms of attacking and scoring, they're not that great. They're 13th for points for. Their ball movement, I think, is the worst as the worst ranking out of all of the teams in the top 8, with 15th. So that and while on the flip side of things, the Dogs they can score, and they have at times this year. We know that they can score very quickly. Of course, their ball movement is up there among the best of the competition with 6. We all know that the likes of Bontempelli, Dunkley, Trelaw, all that. Even though Libba that hurts, going out hurts them, I don't think it would hurt them that much really. Post clearance contest, they're ranked 6th in that, but they're not as good at defending as Fremantle is. They're ranked 11th for points against. They're 13th for pressure. And of course, defending ball movement, they're ranked 15th, which is not surprisingly, since they're just stuck into the 8. They're the lowest. They're the worst team in the top 8 in terms of defending ball movement. So there's a tale of two halves here, like it has been will be for all 4 of these games. At Fremantle, who are reliant heavily on defending and everything in terms of defence, while the Bulldogs, they're good at attacking and scoring. So, and good around clearances and that. So that is going to be the key. Those two, if they keep stuck into those two with their guns, then that's gonna be great. It'll be great to see. In terms of statistics, in terms of statistics, for the Dockers over the last month, they have not surprisingly, I might add, with this one. They are the worst in the competition at generating scores from kick-ins, so that's not surprising. on the other side of things, the Dockers are the best in the league at conceding from inside 50, only at 38%. They concede scores from inside from an inside 50 entry, only 38%, which is great for them. Now the Dogs, and not surprisingly, both of these statistics are both from scoring, in terms of scoring. Over the last 4 rounds, the Dogs are the best in the league at scores from centre bounce clearances, which that number is a bit unclear. But this next one is clear that I've got here. The Dogs are also the best in the league for scores from forward half stoppages at an average of over 19.5 points per game in that area. So of course, not surprisingly, the Dockers. It just clarifies what I've been saying. The Dockers are a defensive team, and the Dogs are an attacking team and looking to score quickly. So yeah. Who I think will win this one? I think, unfortunately, to all you Freo fans, I have a feeling that Lobb, Logue, and Tucker might have played their last games for Freo, because I think the Bulldogs will do it. The problem is, I was a bit torn with this one because, of course it's over in Perth, but on the other side of things, the Dogs have a long history of going deep into September from outside the 8. They did it in 2016, and most recently they did it last year when they finished in 5th and they won 3 straight finals, and unfortunately they got blitzed out in the grand final. But yeah, and my bold prediction, I think Bailey Smith, the Basalanka, will win the game. Will do what he did against Brisbane last year and kick the winning goal, and kick the go-ahead goal, break the deadlock, and win. And I think the Dogs will win by a goal. So yeah. So by the looks of things, for me, I think 3 out of the 4 games I think will be thrillers. Will be epic. Will be close games, barring the Richmond-Brisbane game, where I believe it's. As I said, I predict Richmond not by a big margin, but still a big enough margin, really. Yeah. So to summarise, I'll go backwards here. I think Western Bulldogs by 6 points against Fremantle, despite being in Perth. Collingwood to prevail against Geelong in another tight game by 4 points. Melbourne to just scrape across the line against Sydney by a goal, and in the biggest margin of the weekend, Richmond, I believe, will win against Brisbane by 46 points to basically make it 2-1 in finals against Brisbane. So at the Gabba, I might add, as well. So yeah. As I said, and to recap the bold predictions one more time. Dustin Martin to get 20 plus touches and kick 3+ goals. For the Brisbane Sydney game, Cozzy Piggott to kick the winning goal. For Geelong and Collingwood, Geelong have the chance to win the game after the siren, but misses. And then finally, in terms of the elimination final, Freo against the Dogs, the Basalenka to win the game for the Doggies once again. So yeah. So that is pretty much it for this long video. It is currently at the moment 11:20 at night here. So I probably should end this video now. It's been over 45 minutes this video anyways. So like this video, share to anybody who's an AFL fan or or a fan of any team that's involved in the finals. Comment down below. Are you excited for finals footy? It's the biggest. It's the best time of the year. It's finals time. It's finals time. I still can't believe it's gone that quick. This season. Next thing you know, with a click of I'll be clicking my fingers and we're on grand final day. So yeah. And lastly, somewhere down there, is the big red button which is labeled subscribe. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later, and wherever you may be, may the sunshine or the moon, it's actually nighttime here, shine on you.